Hello and welcome to our Best of the Bets Champions League and Europa League special. My name's Christina Nicolaides and I have our regular guest with me. I have Sam Dymond, who is our football expert and editor of bestofthebets.com. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm very well.
Excited?
Always.
Very good. And I've forgotten what I need to call you now, that your name has changed. It's now Bookie... Oh, Sensei.
I can't wait, these Champions League semi-finals. Perfect.
You're going to start with the outrights, aren't we?
Yeah, Barcelona favourites, they're 2.75. Real Madrid are 3. And then the German sides, Bayern Munich 3.75, and then Dortmund, outsiders of the field, 7.5. For this first game, Bayern Munich are 2.3 to win, Barcelona are 3.2,
yep.
And the draw is 3.4.
This Barcelona team are a peculiar one to me because they have so many fantastic players, and
it still revolves around Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I mean, I think just his presence on the pitch lifted them. He didn't necessarily do anything in that second leg. It's just him being there. Suddenly the morale and the confidence in the Barcelona players just came through, and Busquets got the goal, and they're in another semi-final. But we'd like to think that he'll be back to the full fitness for this game, but I don't want to be back in this Barcelona side because there's so many question marks over their defence. Teams are there or teams can get at them. There's certainly a way to get them there, and this Bayern Munich team have been so superior going forward to anyone they played this season. Hardly anyone can stop them. So I think, especially with the first leg being at home, they want to make an impression. They've got issues because Mandzukic is out.
Yeah, real shame.
Picks up a booking, but
both of the bookings for absolutely nothing.
But Mario Gomez showed that he still can play a part in this team. He came on in the DFB Pokal in midweek.
Yeah, very impressive.
6-minute hat trick.
Yeah, so that's how to prove a point.
That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then of course Claudio Pizarro came into the team against Hamburg a couple of weeks ago and scored 4. So they've got other options other than Mandzukic. They will miss his work rate up front. It is phenomenal.
The benefit is, though, that he will be back for the second leg. And I think he'd be even more important for that second leg. You know, if he hadn't been booked, he'd be treading so carefully in his first leg. Would he be as effective? So, you know, looking long term for Munich's chances, then maybe it's not. Well, I'm trying to paint it in a positive light.
The Tony Kroos injury,
that is the problem.
Is a blow, and it's what they do in Kroos's absence that always worries me. I don't think Bayern are quite the same team when Arjen Robben has a starting berth. Fantastic player, but there's just something about him that seems to unbalance this Bayern Munich side and tends to put me off. But that said, I've liked Bayern all season. I have plenty of concerns with Barcelona, so I'm quite happy to take Bayern to win this first leg.
It seems odd to be looking at Barcelona, who are the best team in club football, and to be
Gareth,
picking holes in them.
Before you say, I've got statistics for you. Barca have never lost a European Cup knockout tie against German opposition.
Well, I don't think they've ever played German opposition as strong as this one. That is a fascinating start. That's a great start. But I don't think they've played German opposition as good as Bayern Munich, as this team. And I'm not convinced.
Great quality.
I don't think that Barcelona are as brilliant as they have been. I mean, write them off at your peril. I mean, it's astonishing to think Bayern Munich were 15 to win this competition before it started. I mean, incredible price looking back now.
I genuinely think this Bayern Munich team is the best in Europe at the moment. And the clean sheets are returning as well. They had that little wobble there, but they're back so solid at the back.
I'm all about Bayern Munich at 2.1 to qualify. And correct score bets that I like, maybe 2-0 Munich is 10 or 3-1 Munich, 14.
Sam, is there any argument for a draw in this first leg?
Yeah, because they're two very evenly matched sides. It wouldn't necessarily be a surprise. And if it was to be a draw, then I wouldn't rule out Bayern in the second leg.
Always like this. Always a second leg at the Nou Camp. Never a bad thing for a team to go there, because if you get at Barcelona, there's always going to be goals. Yeah,
can't argue with any of the bets that Gareth has flagged up there. I like the win on the night, and I like them to qualify as well. This is a Barcelona side that have struggled to get past Milan and Paris Saint-Germain, who just aren't on Bayern's wavelength.
Yeah, 3 out of the 4 games, basically, they've been poor. They're here because of that great 4-0 win at home, which was a fantastic performance. But as we've discussed in previously, could have all been so different, width of the post away from going out, basically.
I actually think I would go for Bayern for the first leg, but I'm going to go Barcelona over 2.
Okay.
Right, next game, Dortmund versus Real Madrid. What do we think?
Yeah, first legs are both in Germany, so the prices for this, Borussia Dortmund 2.8.
Yep.
Real Madrid, slight favourites to win the first leg, 2.5. and the draw 3.4 to qualify. Dortmund, big outsiders at 2.8 again, but Real Madrid 1.4 to qualify.
Is that justified, really, Dortmund being that price? Because they've met Madrid twice this season in the group stage, and
they're the only unbeaten side.
They're the only unbeaten side in the Champions League, and they played Madrid off the park in both of those games.
They did, fully deserved.
Fully should have had 6 points from the two. Only managed to get 4, but they'll be full of confidence playing them again.
Yeah.
Maybe people saw Dortmund sneak past Malaga in the last round. I think, well, not necessarily a Champions League winner, but the fact is they did do it. It wasn't their best performance of the season by any means, but sometimes their name just, is it fate? Is your name on the cup?
Well, I think that the problem that Dortmund had was that they were so scared about conceding the away goal. They should have won that first leg in Malaga so comfortably.
Tie should have been put to bed.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you've got come to the second leg and think, oh, right, well, if Malaga score 1, that's going to be 2 we need to score. So then it was always sort of bit cat and mouse, and it really doesn't suit Dortmund when the game is so slow, and there was no sort of pace. Dortmund had a lot of possession, just sort of passing it about. That's not how they play.
Yeah.
So it's good that they've got Real Madrid. I think that they'll relish. Well, I mean, any of the ties that they got would work out, but I don't think. I think a side such as Malaga would be causing them a problem. That here they can just go out, play their game, and let's see if it's good enough to topple Real Madrid. For me, at the prices, then I'd have to side with Dortmund again. I've got to side with these 2 German sides.
I'm going to have to agree with that. I mean, just so much to like about Dortmund, and they very much this season have saved their best football for the competition. People may suggest that Real Madrid have done likewise, and that Jose Mourinho wants to leave the Bernabeu winning this Champions League yet again.
He wants the 10th.
But
Champions
then
League
again, the
win.
results necessarily haven't been that good in the competition. They've only won 3 of the last 8 games in the competition this season. Yes, they've lost at Galatasaray when they pretty much had put the tie to bed in the first leg after winning 3-0, but they still lost.
Well, yeah. The bigger one is the fact that they played Manchester United and were fortunate to get through, really. Yeah. And I don't think that this Manchester United side is that great. You compare that. I know Munich are in the other semi-final, but Munich absolutely demolished Juventus. Yeah. Real Madrid squeaked past Manchester United with the help of a red card. And I don't think there's much between Manchester United and Juventus, so they'd be fairly level if they were to play each other at this stage. It'd be pretty much pick 'em. So you look at that form line, and it's all pointing towards Dortmund.
Another plus for Dortmund is the fact that players like Blaszczykowski, Gundogan, and Matt Hummels as well, 3 players who at various stages were fitness doubts for the Malaga tie. Should, fingers crossed, will be fully fit for these. So if Dortmund are at full strength, they're such an excellent side. I would want to be backing them against Madrid.
I think one angle that is definitely worth looking at for your bets, whether we're both very much on the German side of things. Yeah. Well, I was going to say that it's almost a bit related. If you're looking and thinking, well, these 2 German sides will both do well. I mean, think what happens if Munich win comfortably on Tuesday. Then suddenly you think, well, actually, these German teams are a lot better than the Spanish side. So I'd almost be go with the 2 German sides as a double. I mean, you can get 7 about it being an all German final. Or, as I think you're angling more towards, you're keen on the Spanish side. Yeah. But you'd almost think, well, if Barcelona beat Munich on Tuesday, then suddenly you think, well, actually, that's the best team in Spain have beaten the best team in Germany. Yeah. I'd imagine the second best team in Spain are going to beat the second team in Germany. So there's good angles you can look at to almost get bets that are almost related, but the bets, the prices don't reflect that.
What is the price for the double for Spain?
So an all-Spain final is just over 2. You get 1.6 Barcelona to qualify. 1.4 Real Madrid to qualify. I mean, if you fancy them both within 90 minutes, 3.2 and 2.5, that pays just over 7.
Europa League semi-final draw. The first semi-final, Fenerbahce versus Benfica. Second semi-final, Basel versus Chelsea to be played. First leg, 25th of April, and second leg on the 2nd of May. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think the outright to the best place to start. Yep. Chelsea, favourites now, 2.1. Benfica, 2.75. They're really the 2 fancied sides here. Yeah. And then if you fancy either of the others, Fenerbahce, 6.5, or Basel, outsiders of field, put Tottenham out. They're priced at 8.3. So, I mean, the Basel-Chelsea game, to me, is the one that's most of interest. 90-minute prices there. Basel, 2.9, Chelsea, 2.3, and the draw, 3.3.
I think when you get to this stage in the competition, a lot of teams will sort of see it at times in the season a hindrance, feel it will sort of weigh them down in their quest in the league. But
Newcastle,
I think if any team that gets to the semi-final wants to win that competition. I think the problem Chelsea do have is the fact that we've been very quick to make the point that we think Rafa Benitez's priority is with the cup competitions.
Yeah.
But is the pressure now going to be coming above, saying we need this top 4 spot for whoever is here next season? We need to be in the Champions League. So I do start to wonder whether in these late stages that they will start to just slightly favour their league, especially if it looks like they're in trouble in that situation. And let's not forget how strong Basel at home, because they're unbeaten in every game at home in both the Swiss League and the Europa League. So not many teams go there and pick something up. Tottenham did manage to get a draw, but eventually succumbed on penalty. So they've knocked out the favourites. They knocked out Zenit St Petersburg in the round before.
Yeah.
I can see Chelsea going the same way. They've lost their last 2 away games in the competition. Haven't really impressed me that much. As you say, tired legs.
Look what they did though last season against Bayern Munich.
I think you'd have to say that Chelsea have played this competition with a lot more attacking flair and intent than they did the Champions League. If Chelsea lift the trophy, good luck to them. I think they'd be deserved winners if they do. And I think that those fans that are thinking, oh great, we got Basel, this is fantastic, could be in for a bit of a shock, because I think Basel are the most underrated team in this competition by a distance. And I mean, 3.4 to qualify, it's a tempting price. I don't know. I can imagine that Chelsea have just had this habit in the Europa League this season. Whatever they need to do in whatever small period of time, they just do it. Just buy enough.
What about the other tie, Fenerbahce versus Benfica?
Yeah, this one's a lot closer on paper for this first leg. Fenerbahce 2.8, Benfica 2.4, and the draw in the first leg 3.25.
Yeah, I've been very keen on Benfica in the competition since they dropped in from the Champions League groups.
But we know how hard it is to go to Turkey and win.
This Benfica side this season, they lost 2 key defensive midfielders in Javi Garcia went to Man City, Axel Witsel went to Russia. So they've only really had to learn to play sort of one way, and that's just to attack teams. And we've seen it in this competition throughout. I think they have scored in every game this season in the league and the Europa League. And I think they'll go to Turkey, and I think they'll attack. They'll be looking for away goals. Whereas Fenerbahce, it's sort of been quite cagey at times. They sort of played the ties perfectly against Lazio in terms of sort of containing them and hitting on the break. I think last 6 of, or in fact all 6 of Fenerbahce's knockout games have been under 2.5 goals. So it has showed you that's quite a cagey affairs. And I just think Benfica could have too much attacking power for them and blow them away. I think they can win this first leg.
I know that Benfica will have attacking intent, but I just think that Benfica would love to come away with a draw. If it finishes 0-0, Benfica would be quite with that. I don't think Fenerbahce will be too disappointed with that. And whenever that's a scenario, then 0-0's always got to be an option. That's priced at 9.3. I do favour the unders here because just on the strength of that Fenerbahce solidarity, I do think Benfica will get through. I think that the fact that Benfica won't mind going to Turkey in the first leg anything like as much as they would have minded going there in the second leg. You saw what the St James's Park crowd did, nearly lifted Newcastle over the line, which would have been astonishing. So I think that Benfica will draw strength from that, and I think that Benfica will be the ones that get through here. Okay, Gareth, so if you had to pick a bet for our viewers? The one I'd suggest would be to go for the all-German Champions League final. That's priced at 7. I'm certain you'll get a very good run for your money with that because I think that these first legs, the German sides will be well in the tie. So, that's what I like. Sam?
I like that double very much. I like the double on them both winning in the first legs. But I think maybe I'll be a little bit more adventurous, and for first leg victories, I'll go Bayern, Dortmund, Basel and Benfica, the fourfold, which pays a whopping 45. OK, I'm going to go for the El Clasico final. OK, so a Barcelona versus Real Madrid final, that pays 2.25. If you fancy them both to win in 90 minutes, the double pays 8. But best bet there we'll put down as the El Clasico final, 2.25. OK, thank you very much. Now you've heard what we've had to say about what we think is going to happen in the Champions League and Europa League semi-finals. For you to place your bets on these games, plus much more, and all your latest odds, then do have a look at our website, which is heavenbet.com. For our Danish viewers, you can also place your bets on mermaidbet.dk, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. See you then. Bye-bye.
Heavenbet.com, a new betting site from Poker Heaven.